Welcome to another freshly brewed edition of What's the Tea? I'm your host, as always, at Owen the Man 316. Grand Slam Australia certainly lived up to its name. In this episode, join me for a teacap of AEW Grand Slam Australia. So grab your favorite snack and your favorite drink, because it's tea time. Enjoy the show, and let the good times flow. Enjoy this one, guys. So getting us started was Jon Moxley against Konosuke Takeshita for the Continental Championship. Now, man, this was a hard-hitting match. Like, these guys were giving it everything they got and just beating the hell out of each other. And neither competitor was willing to give an inch, because you'd see Moxley hit the Death Rider, you'd see Takeshita hit his finisher, not really sure what it's called, but, it was just a real chess match between these two. And these two, they've faced off before a lot of times. For the Continental Classic in the Blue League, Takeshita actually got a win against Moxley. And Moxley, he goes into this match, he wants that win back. And for Takeshita, you think about this, this could really be one of his last shots at winning the Continental Championship from Jon Moxley. Because, how many more shots is he going to get at this? So it's just that thing of like, man, if you really want that title, you gotta win it now. And the crowd was loving this match. Like, you'd hear chants of, let's go Moxley, let's go Takeshita, let's go Moxley, let's go Takeshita. And they were just with it for every single thing they did in this match. And I'm usually not the kind of person that likes when a match ends in a draw, but I think this was really a good call with this. Because you got Jon Moxley of the Death Riders. You've got Konosuke Takeshita of the Don Callis family. And this is honestly just a good way of setting up a potential next match between these two at possibly Revolution. Because you got two really strong competitors. And honestly, it's hard to have either one of them lose. So, all in all, this was a really good match, in my opinion. Just a really enjoyable match. The crowd was liking it. And I kind of like the way that afterwards, Moxley and Takeshita, they both were upset that this thing ended in a tie. And I agree with that, because it's like, Moxley, he really wanted to win this to get that win back. And Takeshita, he wanted to win this to walk out of Australia with the AEW Continental Championship, but he failed to do so. So now the question is, can he get the job done at Revolution? Because now everything is on the line. This is possibly your last chance to win this. And going back to the whole time limit draw thing, I like these finishes a heck of a lot more than outside interference and somebody getting disqualified, because it happens way too much in WWE. Like, that's usually how they end matches, is somebody gets disqualified or somebody comes out from the back and interferes in the match, and that's how it ends, So I like the time limit draws in W, because it's kind of an homage to the old school style of wrestling, where you'd have two guys go 60 minutes Broadway, and it would just end in a tie. Like the Ric Flair Dusty Rhodes matches, or Ric Flair and Jerry the King Lawler. I like that they're paying homage to kind of the old school style of wrestling. So, I like the way this match ended. It was a good call. Both guys came out looking really strong. Takeshita even got his finisher in on Mox after the match. And for a sec there, I thought we were going to go overtime. Like, this match really reminded me of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 10, I want to say, or it might have been 11. Don't quote me on that, and don't roast me in the comments over that. But, it was just a really good match. And I kind of wish it did go overtime, because these guys were just putting on a heck of a classic. A hard-hitting, grinded-out kind of match. It was just a chess match from start to finish. So yeah, even though it ended in a tie, this match gets a thumbs up grade. Alright, match 2 was for the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. We had the champions, Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, the Babes of Wrath, against Mega Bad. Actually, I'm calling them Divine Destruction, because for the life of me, Mega Bad is just such a generic tag team name. But anyways, the team of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. And before we really get into the match, interesting fact, Harley Cameron took on Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship at the first Grand Slam Australia in Brisbane last year, and obviously came up short in that match. But now it's kind of cool because she gets to walk in to her home country of Australia with one half of the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. Like, that's pretty cool. I like that for Harley. I've been a big fan of her, and she's really someone I've come around on a lot. Just in terms of how talented she is and how amazing she is. Anyways, let's get into the match. The tag team chemistry of Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. This is really one of the highlights of this match. Because they just went right to work. They're hitting all these tag team moves. And they're just doing a great job of dividing the ring in half, keeping Megan Bayne away from Penelope Ford, and keeping Penelope Ford away from Megan Bayne. Like, the way these two have just built their chemistry is just amazing. From the tournament to crown the inaugural AEW Women's Tag Team Champions to now, they've just built such incredible chemistry in the ring as a tag team. And early on, they just did a great job of getting the advantage in this match and just keeping it at their pace, which is kind of a mix of slow but also fast-paced. Because Harley Cameron, she moves quick in the ring. Well, Nightingale, she's kind of the one that slows the pace down a little bit, which is good in a sense. But then you saw Megan and Penelope kind of take over in this match. They hit that doomsday device where Megan's got Willow on top of her shoulders, and Penelope Ford is on the top rope, and she jumps and hits a jumping clothesline. I think that's a cool finisher, and I like that it's kind of being brought back. But yeah, these two, they're just a great tag team, and they just look really dominant together. And that was kind of the theme of this match, is that they dominated for a while. They were able to control the pace of this match, get it more to their speed. So now Will and Harley, they had to win this by playing at their tempo, which I thought was interesting. Because it's interesting how you see a tag team match and the momentum just sometimes shifts. Like, the baby faces, they're rolling, and all of a sudden they make one little mistake, and then the heels start rolling in the match. Like, that's the interesting part of tag matches to me. And yeah, this was a really good match overall. Like, these teams, I've seen them face off twice. They've just got really good chemistry. I mean, this is a great feud in AEW. And now we kind of got some fuel to the fire. Because Willow and Harley, they retained the titles with Harley rolling up, I think it was Penelope for the 3 count. And then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, Lena Cross attacks Willow and Harley. And I was not very familiar with her, but I've kind of looked her up a little bit. She's a really good wrestler from the indie circuit, and it's great that she's in AEW now. Congrats to her. And you kind of look at the team now with having Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford and now Lena Cross. I remember on Collision where you had the Triangle of Madness with Penelope and Megan, and on commentary they called it a Pentagon of Destruction. This is just a Triangle of Terror, because You've got Megan Bayne and Lena Cross and Penelope Ford. Megan and Lena, they're the enforcers of this group. And Penelope, well, she's sneaky with her tactics. So, this is danger, real danger to Willow and Harley, and really Willow too, as well, because she could lose her TBS championship to Megan Bayne, possibly at Revolution. I don't know if they've announced that match yet, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. But yeah, an interesting added layer there to this whole rivalry year. So yeah, this one gets a thumbs up as well. And we're on to the next one. All right, match number 3 to crown a number 1 contender for the AEW World Championship. We have in this corner Adam Hangman Page, the man that lost his AEW World Championship because MJF cashed in his contract at, I believe, I want to say it was All In Texas. I might be wrong about that, but I do know that it was MJF that took the title off Hangman Page. In the other corner, we have Andrade El Idolo, representing the Don Callis family. And this was an interesting match, because Hangman, he is one tough son of a gun, because no matter what Andrade threw at him in this match, he just continued to battle on. Like, this guy is just tough as nails. Andrade, his athleticism, it's just unbelievable. Like, I remember his time in WWE, the first time I saw him hit the double moonsault for doing all the stuff that he does off the ropes. I was like, wow, this guy is just unbelievable, man. He's just incredible. Like, what he can do in the ring, it's just amazing to watch. Because he just moves so fast and he moves so fluently when he does his high spots, like that moonsault. And there was something else he does. I think it was a crossbody. But yeah, Andrade, he just moves so fluid in the ring and so fast. But he's also good at kind of slowing the match down too. Like, in his own right, he's actually a pretty decent technician. Honestly, I'd describe his style as just combining the abilities of a technician with the abilities of a high flyer. And it's just this incredible hybrid wrestler. So that's really the way I describe Andrade's style. But this thing was kind of a stalemate, because both guys would hit their big move, and then each guy would just continue to kick out at either right at 2 or right at 2.5. So that's just kind of the way this match went, is that it was just a battle to the very end. They'd brawl on the outside. They would just continue to just beat the hell out of each other. And it was just one of those matches where the longer it went on, I was kind of like, man, this may not be the match for Hangman. Because Andrade, he's got the conditioning. And he's in great shape. I mean, it's just kind of hard to say that he doesn't win this match the longer it goes on. Because Hangman, his style, it's more power and it's more calculated. So it's like the longer the match went on, the guy who's kind of more well equipped from a stamina sense is going to win the match. And that's kind of what I thought, was Andrade was going to find a way to win this thing. But he didn't. As Hangman Page, he hits the buckshot lariat. 1, 2, 3, and new number 1 contender to the AEW World Championship, Adam Hangman Page. This man is going to do whatever it takes to get back the title that he has stolen from him by MJF. And getting into that, man, I really hope, and I know they've already announced it for Revolution, I really want a Texas Death Match. Because I remember Adam Hangman Page against Lance Archer in 2022. What an insane match that was. And I just want to see it because, it really puts the momentum for Hangman Page because this is his match, a Texas Death Match. This is his match. And it kind of puts the champion MJF in a very unfamiliar territory. I'd like to see that at Revolution. That'd be a great match, I think. And it kind of looks like MJF is forcing Hangman Page to put something up of his own. And what Hangman Page winds up putting up is he'll never challenge for the AEW World Championship again as long as MJF is champion. And I know that stipulation gets so overused in professional wrestling, but I think it makes sense for this. Because you got these two guys with a lot of history. Hangman, he's beaten MJF twice. MJF has never beaten Adam Hangman Page. And you gotta think that that just boils in the blood of MJF. Like, this is something that just tortures his soul, is that no matter how many things he has tried, no matter how many dirty tricks he has dished out, he can't beat Hangman Page. Will that be the case at Revolution? We're certainly going to find out. But overall, this match gets a thumbs up, and congrats to Adam Hangman Page. For one time, I'm going to swear on the show. That was real cowboy shit right there. Great wins for Hangman Page. Thumbs up for this match. Moving on to match 4. It is the mixed tag team match between the team of Orange Cassidy and Toni Storm against Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir of the Death Riders. And at stake, the loser of this match has to get their head shaved bald. And going into this match, I hoped like hell that it was Wheeler Yuta who was going to get his head shaved bald because of what they did to Mina Shirakawa. Nobody cuts Mina Shirakawa's ponytail off and gets away with it. That's what I really hoped going into this, is that Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir would lose this match. But anyways, early on, it didn't look so good, because Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir and Toni Storm and Orange Cassidy, all four were just brawling in the stands. And this is kind of a fun spot. I've kind of gotten used to it more and more the more I've watched AEW, that sometimes a match just breaks out in the stands. I liked it. It's a really good spot in some ways. And early on, it looked like this thing was a stalemate. But then Wheeler Yuta hits a pile driver onto, I think it was a table in one of the upper sections of the stands, and takes Toni Storm out of the match. And now it's like, oh no, Orange Cassidy's all on his own, man. He's got to win this thing on his own. And he fought valiantly against Marina and Wheeler Yuta, who obviously had the advantage and dominated for a good portion of the match. But eventually, Toni Storm returns to the match and evens the odds. And the chemistry that's been built between Orange Cassidy and Timeless Toni Storm is just on full display. Like, I like their spot where they're kind of doing the tango, and Timeless Toni Storm is hitting a back elbow, I want to say, because I know she spins, and then I think it's a back elbow. I'm not exactly sure. Or it might be a punch. But either way, I like that spot, because it really just goes to show how these two are just in sync with each other, and they can just dance the tango in the middle of the ring, and people absolutely love it. And I see why, because it's a great spot, and these two just have amazing chemistry together. So now the odds are even. Who's going to win this match? And again, this thing is just kind of a stalemate, where you see them hitting their finishers, hitting their big moves. Marina is trying to get Toni caught in mother's milk, which again, may be one of the damnedest submissions I've ever seen. Because it's just, she literally puts the head of her opponent into her chest. And it's just something that I kind of look at and go, okay. Like, if it's effective, I listen. If it works, then obviously, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But listen, it's just a little weird when you see it. But I get it. It's won her a lot of matches. But anyways, this thing was kind of a stalemate. And these two just continue to go on back and forth. And then they kind of are able to change the momentum of the match. Toni Storm and Orange Cassidy regain the momentum. Orange Cassidy goes for the orange punch from Wheeler Yuta. 1, 2, 3. Wheeler Yuta is getting his head shaped bald. Oh, thank goodness. I mean, listen, Toni Storm, for as much layers as there are to that character, she could probably make a bald head work and still be a big star to the audience. Marina Shafir, it probably would make her look a little more dangerous. But man, I just love that Wheeler Yuta got pinned in this match, and now he has to get his head shaped bald. And Wheeler even tries to get out of it. He tries to run out of the ring, and then there's Jon Moxley, who says, "You better do it. You lost the match. Get back in the ring and get your head shaved." And Wheeler's looking at him like, "But what if I don't want to get my head shaved?" And he goes, "You're going to get your fucking head shaved because you lost the match. Now you got to get your head shaved." And I like how Mina Shirakawa came out with a pair of scissors, got a little payback of her own for what happened when, I think it was Dynamite, when Wheeler Yuta cut her ponytail off. Like I said, nobody cuts off Mina Shirakawa's ponytail and gets away with it. Toni Storm was not going to let that happen. Neither was Orange Cassidy. These two win the match, and now we get to watch Wheeler Yuta get his head shaved bald. Oh, I just love it. I love it. I loved every second of watching that because it was just so enjoyable to watch Wheeler Yuta get what he deserves. I'll even do my Jim Ross impression. That damn bastard, he got what he deserved for what he did to Mina Shirakawa. That was not right, man. We like to have fun on the show. But yeah, that was just great to see. I was definitely satisfied with that match. This gets a thumbs up. And now Wheeler Yuta has a bald head. And it was just really enjoyable to watch. Like I said, match gets a thumbs up, and we're on to the next one. So as a sports fan, I know that there's no better words than Game 7. And in this match between Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe, they've actually had 6 matches against each other, and each are tied with 3 wins apiece. So you know what that means. It's time for Game 7. When I think of Game 7, I think of the great rivalries in sports. I think of the Red Sox and the Yankees. I think of the Celtics and the Lakers. I think of the Cavs overcoming a 3-0 deficit in 2016 to win the NBA Finals. I think of some of the great Stanley Cup ones, like the Red Wings against the Penguins in 2009, and the Pens winning Game 7 to win their 3rd Stanley Cup in franchise history. Y'all know I'm a Penguins fan. I gotta show love to my team. And then I think there was a Game 7 between the Oilers and Panthers. It was either the first time they met in the Stanley Cup or the second time. But I remember that series was really good, and Game 7 was a nail-biter. But yeah, and getting into wrestling, there's nothing like Match 7. And this is where we get into Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship. And I kind of like how Fletcher, I think it was either Dynamite or Collision. He looked at Briscoe and he was like, you want Game 7? You got it. And so he walks into Australia with that hero's welcome that he wanted to get. And now it's everything on the line here. Can Mark Briscoe regain the TNT Championship? Will Kyle Fletcher retain? And this thing was just insanity from start to finish. Because you got Mark Briscoe, he's just doing all these insane spots. He's getting thrown off a ladder, he's going through a table, he's taking all these brutal spots. Like this man, you cannot question his dedication to business. He is just absolutely incredible. And he's even got kind of his own style of just insane offense that reminds me of Jeff Hardy back in the day and kind of still now, but he doesn't really do the same insane spots that he once did, like jumping off ladders and going through tables and things like that. But that's exactly what Mark Briscoe did in this match. He took a beating in this match, and so did Kyle Fletcher. Like Briscoe, he tried everything to keep this man down, and he just couldn't. Kyle Fletcher proved why he is the protostar in AEW, and he just continued to keep on kicking, no matter what Briscoe threw at him. No matter what either of these guys threw at each other, it still wasn't enough to keep him down to get enough time to go climb the ladder and take the TNT Championship. But in the end, Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher fighting up on the ladder, and Fletcher just throws him right off the ladder. Fletcher climbs the top of the ladder and retains the TNT Championship. This was a really good match, and you could tell the crowd was with it too, because you got holy chants. You got, this is awesome, this is wrestling. Like, you just got so many really good chants. That crowd in Australia was having fun that night, and you love to see it. And yeah, overall, this was just a really good match. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Congrats to Kyle Fletcher on retaining the title. And we could have had something really funny happen. You know how Mark Briscoe was the TNT champion? Then he lost it to Tommaso Ciampa, and then Ciampa lost it to Fletcher. What would have been really funny to me is Fletcher loses it to Mark Briscoe, and Briscoe basically regains it after losing it 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we just start over again. That would have just been hilarious to me. But yeah, what a great match between these two. Match definitely gets a thumbs up, and definitely a highlight of the night for me. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of Grand Slam Australia. In this corner, we have a massive man. We have Brody King, a man who absolutely, at all costs, wants to walk out with the AEW World Championship. And in this corner, we have the most despicable AEW World Champion in history. He is better than you, and you know it. MJF. And getting into this match, let's just talk about what happened beforehand. Brody King beat MJF on episode of Dynamite thanks to Adam Hangman Page, which set this whole thing into motion. And I kind of like that they had Brody King go after MJF, because while I wasn't watching around that time, I did hear about what MJF did to Bandito, and somebody actually shouted this out in the comments in the last video, so I appreciate you for that, and I'm glad that you enjoy the show. But anyways, let's just get right into this match. Brody King, he wanted to avenge his partner, Bandito, and that was purely on his mind as this thing got going. He was dominating early. Like, there were points that MJF just looked flat out exhausted, and he usually has really good cardio in matches, but he was just taking a beating. Like, Brody was powerbombing him. Brody was hitting him on the outside of the ring. This man was just going through it. But MJF, he just keeps on kicking, and he continues to prove why he's the AEW World Champion. And I don't know what my expectations were going into this match, but honestly, it was a good match. It was hard hitting. Brody King looked really good. And MJF, he just did what he does best. He let Brody tire himself out with all his big moves, which opened the door for him to be able to slow the match down to his pace and then start doing what he does best, which is just, like I said, slowing the pace of the match down and then being able to just control each movement, which is just a big key for MJF. And Brody really only made one mistake in this match, and it was just that he just continued to build off that momentum. He was going a little too fast, and all of a sudden MJF just found an opening and started to control the match. And in the end, no matter if you like it or you don't like it, MJF wins the match 1, 2, 3. I'm not exactly sure what his finisher is called either, but I know that he hit it at some point in this match. But yeah, MJF finds a way to retain the AEW World Championship, setting up, like I talked about earlier, the much anticipated rematch, Adam Hangman Page versus MJF at Revolution. And shout out to Brody King. Like, I remember when Aleister Black, who was Malachi Black in AEW, first left to go back to WWE. And this was kind of a guy that I was like, what's going to happen to Brody King? Is this guy going to be good on his own? Or did he really need the House of Black? But no, he's proven that he can be a contender in the world title picture and that he's a good singles wrestler. I like that for him. He's a great wrestler overall. I like what he does in the ring. But yeah, overall, a valiant effort for Brody King. He fought hard and he won out on his shield in the end. And that's not the worst way to go out. But yeah, what a match. MJF retains, and now we might get our Texas Death Match at Revolution. I really want a Texas Death Match. But yeah, overall, this match gets a thumbs up. Alright, so let's do a new segment here called 1, 2, T. I'm going to give my overall thoughts here on this. What I'm going to say is that this card was incredible. That is the one in this segment. And it did an excellent job of keeping the crowd in it. Like, you had those matches where sometimes the crowd kind of died down a little bit, but I think overall it was just a good choice for how the card was set up in terms of keeping the crowd involved, keeping the energy up, and continuing to just build it and build it and build it towards the main event, which is exactly what you should do with a card like that. And honestly, it might be one of the best Saturday wrestling big events I've ever seen, because the card was just stacked so well, and every match was just really good. Like, there really wasn't a match that I was like, oh, that sucked. No, all these matches were really good in their own right. And honestly, match of the night for me, I gotta say it was the way we started with Jon Moxley against Konosuke Takeshita, because it was just exactly what you wanted to have for a Continental title match. It's just a good, hard-hitting matchup where it just seems like nobody's going to win this match. And it going to a time limit draw was not a bad thing. So that's the first one. Then on to the second one, I'd say the mixed tag match was really good. It had a good variety of spots. And, I gotta say, like I said earlier, I love seeing Wheeler Yuta get his head shaved bald, because he deserved it after what he did to Mina Shirakawa on Dynamite. You deserved it, Wheeler. You reap what you sow, my friend. But yeah, I really enjoyed that match. Third, I'd have to say it's the women's tag match. Like, like I said, those two teams just have really good chemistry. And Lena Cross, who saw that coming? Like, that was just a good shock moment to throw in there. I liked it. So yeah, overall, just a really good card with just amazing matches. that you just had to see to believe. But that's not the only thing we'd get on this weekend, as we find out that a certain tag team whose contracts had just expired with TNA were about to make their debut at a house show, nonetheless. It's a certain team that many people refer to as iconic and quite inspirational. The inspiration is All Elite, and they are, hang on, Jessie McKay and Cassie Lee are All Elites. And I remember this team as the Iconics when they were in WWE, and they were just incredible to watch then. They even got to hold the women's tag titles when they won them at WrestleMania 35 in that multi-team match, which I think is kind of underrated in some ways. But anyways, it's great to see these two in AEW. I am so happy to see these two in AEW because the women's tag division in AEW is just thriving. It's just absolutely incredible to watch because you've got teams like Willow and Harley, you've got Megan and Penelope, you've just got a lot of great teams there. And I just really like seeing these two go to a really good women's division overall. Oh yeah, you've also got the Sisters of Sin too. I almost forgot that. But yeah, I really like that they're here in AEW. And I like what their first match is being set up to be. You have the Inspiration taking on the new team of the Brawlin' Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. I love it. I love it. I love the way this team has come together. I love the bar segment where they fight off this one guy, and then Jamie Hayter is like, that's it. That's our name. The Brawlin' Birds. It's a great name. And I liked what they did in their first match. I forget who they faced. I know it was kind of a local jobber team, but they looked really good together as a tag team. And I, for one, I know this match has already happened by the time I'm recording this. I can't wait to go back and watch that match. Because, the hype for it is real. We've got these two really good tag teams, these great talents from around the world that are going to just put on a show. And I just can't wait to see it. I'm sure that was a really good match. And yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed AEW Grand Slam Australia. This was a great show, and I hope they do it again next year. Great job by Tony Khan with the signings and with the way the matches were laid out. Just a great show. Overall, the show gets 2 thumbs up. Oh, you can't see it. Like John Cena, you can't see it. But yeah, this gets 2 thumbs up. Great show. Great job, Tony Khan. Keep up the great work. Well, I think that about does it for another edition of What's the Tea. I've been your host at Owen the Man 316. You guys have been my amazing audience. Be sure to follow the links in the description for the YouTube channel of the Owenverse, for Spotify where you can find What's the Tea. I might even add my Substack. My Twitter is down there. I think my Instagram is down there as well. So check that stuff out to stay up to date on all things in the Owenverse and all things on What's the Tea. So that way you know the menu or the card if I was putting on a wrestling PLE or wrestling pay-per-view for the show. Make sure you always stay up to date with that. And anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Have a great week, or in this case, by the time I'm recording this, a great weekend. There's a lot of good college basketball on. I know North Carolina and Duke are playing. Alabama and Auburn are playing. Check out the women's tournaments with their conference tournaments. Be sure to check those out too, because you've got a lot of really great teams there. You got South Carolina, LSU, UCLA, UConn, who's just absolutely unstoppable. Like, we got to talk college basketball at some point. Anyways, Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Have a great week. And always remember, no matter how hard life may seem right now, no matter if you don't like where you're at in life right now, always remember each and every day to take a sip of positivity. I'll see you next time for tea time. Bye, guys. I'm out.